Hello children, welcome to your science class. You all know we have almost come to the end of chapter 10, Motion and Measurement of Distances of your NCERT science textbook. I hope you all have followed the entire chapter. Let's have a quick recall of the main contents of this chapter. In this chapter, we learnt about the story of transport, some ancient to modern standard units of measurement, some rules and guidelines for correct measurement of lengths, measuring the length of a curved line by using a thread, some moving things around us. Along with understanding these concepts, we have learned these concepts by performing numerous activities. In today's class, we are going to learn different types of motion. Children, have you ever keenly observed a moving vehicle on a straight road? Have you seen a parade or stone? Have you ever participated or seen a running race? Why do the sprinters run in a straight track in a 100-meter race? What type of motion is seen in these examples? Before learning which type of motion is this, take a paper and a pen and write down few more examples of situations and objects which move in a straight line. So children, the examples we just discussed are the examples for the rectilinear motion. So it is called a rectilinear motion where the objects move along a straight line. The next type of motion we will be learning by understanding and performing an activity. To do this activity, you need to take a small stone. To that stone, tie a thread and whirl it with your hand. Whirling means hold the free end of the thread and rotate your hand continuously, applying force on the stone through the thread. Now observe the motion of that stone. You see it moves in the distance between your hand and the stone remains the same. So this type of motion is called circular motion. Circular motion. Few other examples of circular motion are the motion of blades of a switched on electric fan and the hands of a clock. Like we discussed in the previous class, these objects show circular motion. As we already know, children, the electric fan or the ceiling fan and the clock, they by themselves are not moving from one place to another, but their parts show some movement when some force is applied. If you mark a point anywhere on the hands of a clock, the distance between the center to its edge remains the same at any position and at any point of rotation or movement. So, till now we have learnt the rectilinear motion where the object types of motions. Now, the third type is the periodic motion, where some objects repeat its motion after some time, and this type is called periodic motion. For example, movement of a swing. If you have ever sit in a swing and if you move along its way, it shows a periodic motion. If you again consider a stone tied with a small string, now instead of rotating it, hold it in your hand and let the stone hang from it. This motion is periodic motion and it is called a pendulum. Now hold the stone with another hand while holding in your hand. Now pull the stone to one extreme end and leave it. This shows the pendulum in motion, that is in periodic motion. Few more examples of periodic motion are a branch of a tree moving to and fro. So the to and fro movement is usually called the periodic motion. And the motion of a child on a swing. And the strings of a guitar which are tightly stretched. The strings of a guitar or the membrane of drums, usually the tabla. So children, the definition of periodic motion is, it is the type of motion seen in an object or a part of it which repeats its motion after a fixed interval of time. Here in the image you can see, due to the wind, the branches of a tree are moving to and fro. They show a continuous movement in a periodic motion, where they swing to and fro but pass through the position where they are actually held. That means from one end it comes to a straight position from point of suspension, and from there it moves to the other end and repeats this motion repeatedly until it comes to rest. So this is called the periodic motion. You all might think that an object in motion can only show one motion at a time. No. If you have ever observed a sewing machine which remains at a same place but shows movement when used, if you observe it properly, there is a needle fixed which moves up and down when the wheel rotates. That means the needle is undergoing periodic motion here. So here, through this example, we can understand that an object can show one and more types of motion at a time, where a sewing machine can show both the circular motion and the periodic motion at a time. Let us see another example where, if you have observed a ball moving on the ground, it shows two motions at a time. The first one, the ball rolls down on the ground, showing a rotational motion, but also it rolls on a straight path, showing a rectilinear motion. So the ball which is rolling on a ground shows the rotational motion and also the rectilinear motion. Now what you will do is you will be writing some more examples which show different types of motion. Either the motions to one or more motions can be seen in the same object at a time. You can note down these examples and segregate them according to the types of motions. So children, here we come to the end of the chapter where we learned what is motion and the types of motion, and we have learnt about measure. What we learned is the change in position of an object can be determined through its distance measurements. After understanding and observing so many examples, we come to know that motion is everywhere around us. So that is the chapter about motion and measurement of distances. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you, children.